Good afternoon, one and all. We are here to continue with our second technical session. I, CA Dr. Gautam Lenka, Vice Chairman of Bhubaneswar branch of EIRC of ICI, feel privileged to welcome you all to this second technical session of the 50th Golden Jubilee Conference of EIRC of ICI. I extend a warm welcome and invite the dignitaries for the session to take the seats on the dais. CA Aniket S. Talati, Past President ICAI, CA Sanjeev Sanghi, Central Council Member ICI and immediate past Chairman EIRC, and CA Sanjeev Dalal to the dais. Sorry, Chetan Dalal and Sarabjit Hora to the dais. I request everyone to kindly give a huge round of applause to our dignitaries. We are honored to have all of you with us today. The theme of this session, Global Opportunities Beyond Borders and the Future of Accounting and Finance, captures the exciting transformation taking place in our profession. Today, the world of business is borderless, digitally connected, and evolving faster than ever before. In this environment, the opportunities for chartered accountants are expanding globally across sectors, industries, and continents. Indian chartered accountants are increasingly leading in areas such as international taxation, cross-border structuring, global reporting, risk advisory, and virtual CFO services. Technology has also enabled global delivery models, remote working, and seamless collaboration, making it possible for professionals and firms to serve clients anywhere in the world. At the same time, the future of accounting and finance is being shaped by artificial intelligence, automation, blockchain, data-driven decision-making, and new forms of reporting, requiring all of us to upskill, adapt, and embrace innovation. To guide us through these opportunities and emerging trends, we are privileged to have with us our distinguished speakers. Before we start, I request the EIRC Managing Committee members to kindly present a memento to our distinguished speakers. I request our regional council members to kindly present a memento to our distinguished speakers. I request everyone to kindly give a huge round of applause. Kindly give a huge round of applause to our dignitaries. With great pleasure, I once again welcome both all our distinguished speakers, dignitaries on the dais, and our learned audience. Let us look forward to an insightful and forward-looking session. I request CA Sanjeev Sanghi sir, the dynamic and handsome Central Council member, to kindly address.
So good afternoon, everyone. I think the voice is audible to all of you over there at the back. Now there is a big tussle wherein you will say, I want to sleep, and we will ensure that you are not going to sleep. So this is a post-lunch session, and this is going to be very, very exciting. Whenever we hear this title, which says Future of Accounting, Global Opportunities, Beyond Borders, how we can spread our wings, how we can take things forward. I think we are very fortunate to have two very eminent panelists. One, our past president of ICAC, Icai Talati, who had been at the ground level working on this for last almost 3 decades, sir. Almost 3 decades. And the another panelist which we have is Chetan Dalal, who had been also very instrumental. A big round of applause to both of them. Because I was just talking to one very young professional, in the lunchroom. And a very favorite question which I always ask, what are you doing right now? And he was saying, sir, we are doing practice. I said, what in practice? Well, anything and everything. Now, that is where both Chetan Dalal and Icai Talati comes into picture, where they are going to actually speak in today's session on so many possibilities and opportunities which are ahead for us. But it will not be limited to that. Trust me, today as a moderator, I'm going to make sure that they are going to reveal and they are going to unveil how you can take that first step, how you can get it started, and how you can actually, sitting in here in Calcutta, can work for the entire world. That's the whole thing. So, Icai sir, please allow me to ask as tough question as possible to both you and Chetan sir. So before I start, I want both of you to give some opening remarks before we actually get into the session. Sir.
Thank you so much, Sanjeev bhai. And I think very aptly described when the session started, dynamic, handsome. I would also add a few more adjectives and say extremely dedicated, sincere, and probably something that you may all know, but you should all be proud of belonging from this region, that it is his first year in the council. We have all been in the council, so many of them were there in the inaugural session. Rarely, or rather I don't remember in history it has ever happened, that a council member in his first year is ever awarded a committee or a group. I think that record has been broken by none other than Sanjeev bhai. So he is now in charge of a very important group within the ICI on GCC, and I think that speaks, Sanjeev bhai, volumes about how much you can contribute for the future of the profession. I think before I start, the chairman of the region, Vishnuji, thank you for inviting me. I remember distinctly, it was hardly 10 days after he had taken over as chairman, and we met, and he said, I'm going to do my regional conference in November in this week, and please block your calendar. So I believe one of the first people who would have ever decided in advance for his regional conference in November, I think Vishnuji, you will have that record. Congratulations. I think it is showing such a wonderful crowd, such wonderful facility. So compliments to you and the entire EIRC. I think Chetan bhai has been an inspiration for so many of us. We all today talk about forensics, forensic accounting, forensic audit as it was referred to in general parlance, and of course the tools and the thought of chartered accountants not just looking at the obvious, but penetrating deeper and trying to do the fraud finding activity. I think he's the pioneer, probably one of the first in India who has started this, and I'm sure we will all be extremely enlightened with his experiences and anecdotes. Somebody who's written some wonderful publications, and I think, yes, on fraud and forensics, he is I would say, the final authority in this country. So thank you, Chetan bhai, for being in our midst, and going to be a pleasure. To my two very special people, I think before we came on stage, there was a song going on, and I asked Sanjeev bhai, what are they saying? And what he told me and its translation, I honestly feel holds good for my feelings for all of you in Kolkata. I never got an opportunity to come to Kolkata ever in my life. But as destiny would have it, I am one of the rarest presidents whose predecessor and successor both come from the city of Kolkata, Dr. Debashish Mitra and Mr. Ranjit Kumar Agarwal. So for all my friends and colleagues in Kolkata, Hriday Mote Rakhibo, Chede Bebona. I think for all of you, you are all in my heart and I will never let you go. That was the song that was playing, and I think Kolkata is going to be the same for me. I have come here so many times, and Vishnuji now always addresses as your very own Kolkata. And this region feels so special to me. So yes, I am very delighted to be in your midst this afternoon. I also had the opportunity just before this session to discuss with a lot of your senior members, some past council members, some very senior members about how chartered accountants in Kolkata are and what they are doing. And some interesting facts, some not so encouraging facts that were told to me. And I think I will fail in my duty if I don't realize the ground reality in terms of what the practice scenario here is. And then I think pivot what I'm trying to tell each one of you to suit you and also make it more relevant to you. Because yes, sometimes when you look at this, I think President in the morning, for example, spoke about the World Forum of Accountants. People talk about IFAC and the internationalization of the accounting profession. Somebody who's sitting in the hall who's saying, yaar, main to GST return bharta hu, I only do some audit work and I have limited clients. Does this make sense to me? I think what we'll try and do over the next 30-45 minutes that we have is make this session relevant to that person in the audience. And my request to you would be, more than anything else for you to be in this session, I think let's all be a little selfish today. Somewhere I feel as chartered accountants, we have, and I think it is our duty, as a doctor always thinks about his patient, a lawyer will probably think about the brief and the client. We have always worried about our clients, our auditees, so to speak. And yes, it is important, and therefore whenever there is a session on GST, I don't know how many of chartered accountants may be actually facing those GST challenges, or maybe even registered for that GST, but we will attend in large numbers because we may find some value add or some solution for our client. If there's a session on income tax, again, huge halls. But when we talk about ourselves and how do we grow, Sanjeev Bhai, so often than not, we have seen very few people actually go and attend. So I would request for the next 45 minutes, please indulge and try and think about yourself first. And therefore, I have a very important question as we start this session for all of you. How many of you have clients who are into manufacturing and trading? If you can just raise your hand. Okay, very good. And how many of them have a export business? I think almost equal number. What does this showcase and what does this tell? And what is it that we have to learn, not from others, not from anywhere in the world, but from our own clients? If beyond a point, any manufacturing entity, even a service entity has to grow. The biggest manufacturers, you look at the sponsors here, do you think a Tata steel is only used in India? Do you think a Safari bag is only sold in India or it's exported? All of these companies have expanded their P&L because they have been able to cross borders. And therefore the theme of this session, global opportunities beyond borders. If our clients have realized that for me to grow, I need to go beyond borders. If doctors today, the biggest hospitals, not only serve locals, you come to Ahmedabad, we have the biggest knee replacement hospital in the country. And every other day there are maybe tens and hundreds of Africa, Europe and other parts of the world, people who come there and get his services in that hospital. So the medical profession is delivering international opportunities. Our clients in manufacturing and trading are not restricting themselves to the geographies of Kolkata, West Bengal, Eastern region or India for that matter. And therefore the question which is very important for each one of us to ask ourselves, especially in practice, is my model going to be sustainable if I only look inward and try and give solutions only to my Indian clients? And therefore I think what we used to talk about in the council, the aim for any decent sized practice going forward should be that how at least 30 to 50% of my practice comes from the international arena. Can I give services to the whole globe? And today when I'm talking to you, I represent ICI at the IFAC at Kappa. I can tell you the numbers speak for themselves. In the US, you don't have enough people doing accounting, leave alone the number of accountants who are available there. Go to the UK, again a very aging population. Go to Australia, go to Canada. These are all markets where accounting is huge, where there's a huge requirement of bookkeeping, accounting, taxation, compliance services. And juxtapose that with what we have in India, a young population, a population which can learn so many newer things. Just look at our profession. We started when there was accounting standards, today Ind AS. You started with an income tax act, which on April 1 will be replaced. You started with sales tax, which moved to VAT and is GST. Everything around us changed, and yet we've adopted. And in these countries, the tax laws are maybe written in sand, so to speak, and remain the same for 15, 20 years. And therefore, it's so much easier for you to pivot and practice there. So I think as you've asked me to give my opening remarks, Sanjeev Bhai, I'll only say that to everyone in this room, let's think out of the box. Let us think of ourselves, not just as chartered accountants who have qualified from Icai Eye and are able to solve tax issues, accounting problems, or address clients in India. But I think this qualification of ours has given us the wings. You saw the memento that came to us, has given us the vision for us to be global service providers. And if that confidence is in you, that confidence itself will not work. Yes, there are skills which we'll probably discuss going forward, but if you are able to match that, then believe me, it's with a very clear intent. If you see that logo on that side, the new logo that the Institute and the Council launched 2 years ago, we are no longer that CA with the green tick, but we are proudly, as CP Australia members call themselves, I am a CP Australia or I am a CP Ireland. I think it is time for all of us to call ourselves CA India and understand that Indians can serve for the world, Indians can account for the world, Indians can bookkeep for the world. And I think if we are CA India, we have that pride in ourselves to represent ourselves at the global stage. All markets are open for us. So
Yeah,
that's
thank you
probably
so
my
much,
opening
Aniket,
remarks.
sir. Chetan sir, I think you have your sessions, so I'll just limit few questions if you want to give some opening remarks. But just going into the conversation, sir. When we talk about the change, about the volatility which we have, the uncertainty of the profession, and becoming so complex with the changes coming up on a regular basis, and when we are even in our country working into that same model, into that same pattern for last 20, 30, 40 years, with the belief system that we are going to get something on the table, we are going to get some empanelment, something which is going to come up to us, and maybe that will grow with referral. That is how the model had been. Three important questions which comes up, sir, is how do we start this networking? And is networking going to play a very important role? One. Number two is scaling up. It's always being spoken about how we can skill up and scale up. So if I am running a proprietorship firm or a firm with 2 to 5 partners, what are those necessary skills which I need to take? One. How do I network and where do I network? And the third thing is that how do I scale up? I think these three things, if you can broadly define, that will give a lot of understanding to our fraternity.
So I think first question was, is networking important? Today in Kolkata, you have 2 Gujarati people on the stage, and I'll use a Gujarati face to maybe answer this question. We were taught when we were children, and I'll say this in Gujarati first and then maybe explain in Hindi and English. Sauthi moti khan, ओळखाण. हिंदी में कहूँगा तो सबसे बड़ी खान, बंगाल में हूँ, खान तो किसी को एक्सप्लेन करने की जरूरत नहीं है, बिकॉज यू हैव सो मेनी माइंड्स हियर इन द रीजन. सो सबसे बड़ी खान पहचान. सो व्हाट इज योर बिगेस्ट नेटवर्थ? इट्स योर नेटवर्क. And therefore your question, is networking important? I think it is paramount in today's world. You cannot grow beyond a point. You look at the global companies today. If a Reliance wants to get into geo and get into technology, you have investors from Facebook and other parts of the globe who are coming and providing them technology. If India wants to get into the semiconductor space, you're doing joint ventures with so many global partners. So even for the largest companies and corporations whose net worth has crossed a few billion, network is important. It's important to collaborate. And as president of the institute, I went to Africa, I went to so many parts, and I always used to say, the time to compare and compete is over, and it is a time to collaborate. If we are able to understand that collaboration, I think, Sanjeev Bhai, it's going to be very important that we change our mindset. So, is it important? Yes. What are the skill sets that you require? And where do you start? I think you start in first and foremost conferences like this. And I say it so often, but I'll repeat myself. Even when I see people in the conferences, there are 4 people who are in the same neighborhood or from the same firm. they will come together. Registration करवाया तूने, चल मैं भी आता हूँ, registration desk पे साथ जाएंगे, साथ में यहाँ 4 जन बैठेंगे उसी रो में, बोले तेरी सीट मैंने रोक के रखी है, तू आ, साथ में यहाँ बैठेंगे, लंच करने भी साथ में जाएंगे, शाम तक साथ में जाएंगे, घर भी साथ में जाएंगे. So where is the networking that is happening? Same thing if you were to put me and Sanjeev ji in a conference, not here, anywhere in the world, even in the deepest parts of Africa or South America, where we did not know the language or the food, both of us would go in the morning and say, you go your way, I'll go my way, we'll meet at dinner at night. You meet as many people as you can, collect as many cards as you can, I'll meet as many people as you can. But that requires a change of mindset. And I learned this attending international conferences, going at places. You know, they gave you these placards and these, badges that you wear around. These are not just for you to make sure that you get your plate or in the food counter. This is to walk up to somebody and say, hi, Mr. Sanjeev, how are you? You're from Kolkata, I'm from Ahmedabad. What is it that you do? This is what I do. Is there a way that we can come together and network? And look at our Chartered Accountants Act since 49. Sharing work with another chartered accountant in practice, soliciting work from there has never been banned. It's in fact encouraged. It has been something which has always been accepted. Who else will be your first point of contact than your own membership? So I think, Sanjeev ji, these things begin by learning those skills. I think as professionals, as chartered accountants, we have mastered the art of numbers. I think nobody beats us in that field. But if you want to succeed, we often get compared with MBA, we often get compared that they are more successful in terms of presenting and getting higher packages. I think we are definitely in a world where jo dikhta hai wo bikta hai. It's how you present yourself. I have always believed and said that you are known, a man is known by his dress, address and dash. How you dress yourself, how you address, and what your address is in the office, and your dashing personality. I think these are 3 very important aspects: dress, address and dash. And if you are able to get that right and sorted, definitely these are skill sets which you asked, which we have to develop as compared to our other professional colleagues. We are very good at facts and numbers, but we need to understand and improve. In today's world, networking is going to be the key. It is not important that I know everything. It is not important that I can do everything. But tomorrow if I have a forensic assignment or I have to understand something very deep, if I know Chetan Bhai, I should have the network to call him at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and if he's available, I ask him, Chetan Bhai, I am stuck in this forensic. What do you think? This is a transaction flow. And believe me, 9 out of 10 of our membership, Chetan Bhai will agree, chartered accountants are always willing to help one another. There's always that willingness to tell him, to guide him. But are we there to ask those questions? So I think skill sets in terms of the networking is communication, having that confidence and that changed of attitude, that I don't want to come here and be here with the people I know and be in my comfort zone, but I want to get out of that comfort zone. And even in this topic that we are talking about, beyond borders, people ask me, how can I get my first task? Don't expect, even if the institute opens a portal, I mean, I may sound a little rude, but that portal will only do limited good, rather no good. Let me be very blunt and honest. You will not get empanelment for these kind of works. If you expect that I will fill up a form and I will sit in my office in Bada Bazaar or in Rajarat or in any part of Kolkata, and suddenly there will be an email which will come to me and say, "Aapko UK ka kaam $10,000 ka mila hai. Ab kaun banega crorepati nahi khel rahe ho." Nobody is going to give you that kind of work. You will have to go and search for the work. So there is no empanelment, there is no work that comes to you. But yes, if you have the wherewithal, if you have that fire in the belly, go to these conferences. There are hundreds that happen across the world. Attend them, meet those people. And there are accountants who are in dire needs of solutions. You go to the US, you'll meet a senior accountant, he'll say, boss, I can grow my practice 2x, but I don't have people to do it. And here our problem is I have 2x the employees, I don't have half the work. So why don't we then mix and match this and try and create solutions for them? And this can only happen on the last part of how do you scale this up, by building the right skill sets. If you think that मुझे GST आता है, उसके लिए मुझे UK VAT आता है, तो नहीं आता है. You want to do UK VAT, you should understand, try and spend some time understanding those laws. If I know Indian accounting and I start applying the same in the US, I'll be a big disaster and failure. I cannot apply a written down value method or depreciation here, whereas there if you have a different kind of mechanism. You need to know what is mid-month, mid-quarter, mid-year conventions. How do they depreciate? What are the useful life for a building is 39.5 years. What are those facts that are unique to that country? If you have those skill sets in terms of the technical competence and those soft skills, I think those global opportunities are there
So,
for you to
sir,
go.
we'll get to that question of how to get a client. Definitely, I'll try take it out some from you for sure. But the third thing which is going to come up, and this is my third question to you again, is when we finally meet a prospective client, let's say you got all this attitude, you develop your networking skills, you start meeting people, you attend conferences, you travel, and you meet people, and finally you find one particular person coming back to you and saying, hey, I'm interested, I want to get things done through you. The question which comes up is, are you ready? Are you digitally ready? Are you having the right infrastructure? Are you having that right team? Are you having that enough security which is required? Do you have those set protocols and those standards which are applicable? So the question comes, what comes first? Should I first develop all of these and then go and find a client? Or once I get a client, I start developing these systems? And if at all I want to develop these systems, what are those systems to make myself proclaim that I am ready? I am digitally ready, I am industry ready, I am service ready. How can we build on that, sir?
I think a fantastic question. There are two parts to this. And I think the first part is the preparatory part. Even before I go and meet that prospective client, today if you are thinking that I want to start, it shouldn't be that, yes, jo kaam aa gaya, main le lunga. Believe me, you will not do any good for yourself, but you will do disservice to India, because end of the day, it is our brand as a country which probably gets affected. So select a jurisdiction. Let's assume for a moment, Sanjeev bhai, you picked Australia. And you know that there are BAF returns to be filed. You know that there are due dates and deadlines which have to be met for your sales tax returns, rather GST returns there. You know that what are the financial implications of taxation when you're accounting for something. You understand that first, develop that skill set. It's very easy. The institute has made it so tremendously easy for you. Today you can get a CP Australia qualification in 6 months if you are a chartered accountant. It will not take you more than that. That's how easy it is for you to get that kind of a qualification. Assume for a moment you have received that qualification, you have that kind of confidence in your hardcore skill sets. Then I think your question, what comes first? You know, that chicken and egg. And that is why I started my opening address by saying we have to learn from our clients. You have manufacturers. Can a manufacturer assume कि पहले मेरे पास पूरे साल का order आ जाएगा? My POs have been received, I have posted them, फिर मैं machine लगाऊंगा, फिर मैं जमीन खरीदूंगा, फिर मैं plant डालूंगा, फिर मैं raw material खरीदूंगा, and then I'll convert and start making finished goods. By then that customer would have gone. Therefore, I'm not saying we are into manufacturing. This is not a business, it's a profession. Yet, if you want to get into this, there has to be a bare minimum threshold of investment that you should make. Invest in yourselves in terms of the technical skills, and hard investments in terms of having the right IT infrastructure. Even if it's just two of you, get a firewall and give him the comfort that if there is some work that I am being given from this country in Australia, I will make sure that the data remains protected. It is not that somebody in overnight sitting in Russia or China can simply come in and will be able to access my data because it is unsecured and unprotected. It will be encrypted and lying behind a firewall. You will need to develop the IT systems to ensure that if that work has to come to you, you are able to then deliver them. I'll give you my example, Sanjeev bhai. We've been doing this work for 25 years. When we started, आज तो हम सबको क्लाउड आता है, we put anything on G drive और बोलते हैं लिंक शेयर कर दे, आप डाउनलोड कर दो, मिल जाएगा. Younger generation has probably grown up looking at that. At that time, we had physical servers and physical hard disk. You started there. We had to do a FTP, a file transfer protocol. काफी young members का नाम भी नहीं सुना होगा. Where he would send and upload those documents sitting in US, upload them. I will have to sit here and download them. So overnight my system will run, fetch those invoices, soft copies, save them. Today your accounting packages are on the cloud. आप यहाँ entry करते हो, वहाँ update हो जाता है. पहले नहीं होता था. It was not the case. We would have to have a separate version here where we would post those entries and then merge them with the main. So the question is, what comes first? I think it's not a huge investment, but besides your technical skills, what is extremely important if any one of you is looking to develop in this area are those skills of making sure that you have a good technology setup, a good understanding of how, if you want to, meeting with your first prospective, as Sanjeev bhai was saying, how do you convince them? How do you build that kind of technological competence to tell him that yes, I have a system which is secure. We will use the cloud to move data. I will ensure that the data remains protected. I will sign a NDA and tell you that I will not disclose confidential financial information. I will also implement the best controls and systems and processes. If required, have an access card control so that no physical person comes in. So many other things that are there as a part of this, but I'm just giving you some highlighted major items that need to be there. But yes, I think the short answer to this is that if you want to get into this area and develop, you have to understand that you are not yourself alone in this market. There is competition today from Philippines, from Poland, from other parts of the country, and leave alone from other parts of the world. Therefore, these important steps of understanding IT, understanding technology, and having the willingness to invest the best form and putting the best foot forward will only inspire that confidence in that person to say, yes, Sanjeev Bhai or Aniket or whoever it is, that you handle my work, this is my client that I am giving to you, and I am now confident that you will deliver an output and a product which is accurate, which is in line with the technical requirements, and most importantly, I apologize if this sounds rude, but the fact is, if such a conference was to happen in the US, for example, 9:30 means 9:30. It doesn't mean 9:31. And similarly, if you have committed somebody that I will give you the data and the report by 5 p.m. tomorrow, it better be in the inbox at 4:59. 5:05 is time gone. Chalta hai does not work, and that chalta hai attitude cannot function. So if that is how we have learned to live, then this is probably not for you. But if you're willing to change, invest in hard skills, invest in technology, change mindset, and be able to give the right output in the desired timeline, I think there's a huge market available to you.
So I think 4-5 things very, very clearly you have demonstrated, sir, is the mindset, having the skills, going and networking, traveling, putting and investing on yourself. One very important thing which you have touched very lightly, and that is very, very important, is the cultural gap. The work approach of how and what we are doing over here. So the question over here, I think, let me put it in a much better way, is what is more important? Is it something where I'm intellectually very strong, or something where I can be more of an entrepreneur and try to manage and get things done at the expectations and at the way the person is expecting from me? Maybe is it a T-shaped professionals are we looking for, or an I-shaped professionals?
So I would say, I think I'm in Bengal, in the land of culture. So definitely on a different note, but yes, culture is very important. You have to understand what works there. For example, if you are in the US, and I've seen this with a lot of accountants who try and do the US work, they said, "Hamare wahan to aise hi hota hai." And I tell them, today in India, for example, you drive the car on the left side of the road. You cannot go to the US and say, "मैं भी left side पे चलाऊंगा, हमारे वैसे ही चलाता हूँ." You'll bang into everybody else who's coming because they drive on the other side of the road. If the switch is to be flipped, for us, when we put it down, light चालू होती है और ऊपर करते बंद होता है. US में it's the reverse. You flip it up, it turns off. So the question is, can I do what I'm doing here and expect him to accommodate? Answer is no. You will have to accommodate, change yourself, and understand that I am serving a different market. I think this is true for any business, any profession, and so for ours. I think it's very important to understand how things work there and then adapt to it and deliver it in that sense. So yes, even if you may be extremely intelligent, but if you're not diligent and if you're not able to meet those standards, I think your intelligence will only take you so far. It is being consistent, diligent, and ensuring that you live up to those standards is going to be important. I'll give you one small example. It will probably take 2 minutes. How I learned this very early in my life. And I was in 2009, I believe, in the US and doing some work for a big real estate firm there. And when I went to the entity and I realized that, there was some, again, I'll just shorten the whole story up, but I realized that the depreciation was not correctly picked up. And so I did, and then the CPA firm that I was working with, and I went to the main person there and I said, "Look, there's a huge problem. The depreciation for this huge asset has not been picked. And he says, this is not possible. They have a very good controller, a very good accountant, a bookkeeper. Not possible that he would have missed. He saw the ledgers and he says, yes. So मैंने क्या बोला? I said, don't worry, I'll pass the entry. हम यहाँ बोलते हैं मैं entry pass कर दूंगा. I said, I'll pass the entry. He stood up furious, mad at me. He says, are you mad? I said, sir, why? You just now agreed that, oh, you have gone, you lost your mind. And I'm thinking, I'm in my wits thinking, what's happening? And he says, how the hell can you pass this? 2 days later, I was thinking and I realized, हम बोलते हैं मैं entry pass कर दूंगा. In the US, when you say I pass it, if I was to give this water to Sanjeev Bhai and I say, please have some water, he'll say, I'll pass. Pass means जाने दो. And when I said I'm going to pass this entry, he assumed that I'm saying, I'm not going to record it, I'm letting it go. And therefore he was furious saying, as an auditor, how can you let this go? Ever since, all I say is I'm going to record this entry. I never say I'll pass the entry. Because हम यहाँ बोलते हैं entry pass कर दूंगा. That is not a terminology anybody in the US will understand. So these are small cultural things, Sanjeev Bhai, but very important that when you are working there, like I said, you have to understand the tricks of the trade, how do they do it there, and how the terminologies get drafted so that you are able to communicate the right kind of output for the work that you are delivering.
Thank you so much, Aniket sir. Just before we end up with you, because we have a lot of pressing time, one last thing, a main important thing is that what are those 5 or 10 services which currently India is getting, with your experience, where they can start looking upon and they can start working as a service? We want to quickly wrap it up in another couple of minutes.
A very good question. In fact, I can tell you that I had the privilege of chairing a committee in GIFT City for IFSCA, where it was the Honorable Prime Minister's dream, and you are very well aware, Sanjeev Bhai, that we want to build global accounting firms. And I think it is his vision that today, as India is recognized as the pharmacy of the world, and we have the biggest pharmaceutical companies, therapeutic companies, all functioning and manufacturing in India, can we become accountants for the world? And I think this question, therefore, we discussed in very great detail. And therefore, I did a lot of deep diving in what kind of work is happening in India. In fact, today, you'll be surprised, in the Times of India in Ahmedabad edition, you can download it. In the front page, there is an article on accounting outsourcing, mentioning that the biggest NBA, that is the basketball players, or the biggest Hollywood stars, their tax returns are actually getting filed in Ahmedabad. It's a real stat and statistics that has been given in the newspaper, and I can share that with you. But what I'm trying to tell you is that there are various service lines today which India expertises in. I don't know how many of you follow equity markets and the capital markets. Today, our current account deficit, for example, is also tremendously low, and probably we may end up in a situation where we may be current account surplus in a few years. And I think one of the biggest reasons in the last 5-7 years this has happened is because non-software exports are increasing. And in this non-software exports, one of the biggest areas that is growing very fast and exponentially is accounting outsourcing. So what are those areas? First and foremost, basic bare bones bookkeeping. So bookkeeping today, there are thousands of people in India engaged. Invoices get scanned, sent over, you employ people, get chartered accountants to supervise and do the bookkeeping. The advantage is time difference. They send you and scan the invoices in their evening, you work the day, next day morning they have the accounts written up to date, debit is in the correct place, credit is in the correct place, bank recs are made on a daily basis. So bookkeeping is one. Second is accounting, and there's a slight difference. Bookkeeping is the art of writing the books, debit, credit, recording the journal entries, recording the cash and bank entries. Accounting is preparing reports. So preparing a bank rec, preparing a review report, preparing annual financial statements, preparing monthly MIS, quarterly statements. So that is accounting work. Then there is tax work, both direct as well as indirect tax. Income tax returns in the US today, I can probably hazard a guess and tell you that majority of the K1s which are issued in partnership firms, I believe more than 50% of them will actually be done in India by chartered accountants or chartered accountant firms issuing those K1s to partnership firms. So a huge area in the income tax area, it may be in any part of the world. I'm just referring to US as an example. Indirect tax, again, I can tell you, हमने हमारे यहाँ का GST भरा है 1, 2A, 3B. सुशील भाई, sorry, I'm not a person of GST, तो मुझे सारे फॉर्म अच्छे से याद नहीं रहते, but इतने फॉर्म जो हम भर लेते हैं उसके बाद दुनिया का कोई भी फॉर्म आप इजीली भर लोगे. So yes, indirect taxes is a huge opportunity. You may be doing it in Australia, in Canada, in the UK, or even for the US in form of sales tax or use tax returns. But yes, taxation, direct as well as indirect. Then there is a very important area, and I think I can segue into Chetan Bhai's session after this, because in the IFSCA regulations, today we have bookkeeping, accounting, taxation, and the fourth service is financial crime, which is forensics, which is more than that. If you look at today, a very important area is AML, where not many of us are focusing, but huge opportunity that lies in the money laundering space. So today it may be UBO declarations, it may be looking into PEP, that is politically exposed persons, getting those documents in the KYC and onboarding, huge opportunity. Every bank today, because of FATF and so many other aspects, and so many other accounting, have to now comply with AML. And therefore, I think one huge area is forensic. And lastly, Sanjeev Bhai, I know I'm short of time, is also in the non-financial space, sustainability, ESG, lot of opportunity. Today, if you look at Europe, they are totally going towards sustainability and ESG, and lot of work there in non-financial accounting, that is carbon accounting and everything else that goes around emissions and GHG. That work is also a great opportunity. So yes, to summarize, bookkeeping, accounting, taxation, both direct, indirect, forensic, financial crime, and of course ESG and sustainability. These would be my headline items.
Great, thank you so much. We would have loved to have more questions and answers with you, but we are running short of time, sir. But I think most of the questions are answered, and we can always check with Aniket sir offline on that. But moving on, we have another very big opportunity, which is again going to be there for next 10, 20, 30 years, which is going to be, spoken about by Chetan sir on forensic accounting. So Chetan sir, do you want to take a session on that, or you want to do a question answer session? So I will definitely be happy if you can just give a broader overview on this entire arena, because many people, when I'm talking to, is not even talking about what forensic is all about and how to get it started and what are the opportunities behind it. Sir.
Thank you all. Thank you to the committee, EIRC, Aniket ji, and all of you for being here, and a privilege and a pleasure to speak to you. Let me start with the most important thing, as Aniket ji very correctly said, is we are here to talk about you, about a normal chartered accountant. What does he expect in the foreseeable future? The opportunities. When we talk of opportunities, a lot has already been explained very nicely by Aniket ji, but the moot question here, sir, is how to get opportunities. You see today a fresh chartered accountant or a chartered accountant who wants to go into full-time practice. Life is not easy for him. If we are not going to have Tatas and Birlas coming at his doorstep and say, please come and sign my accounts, right? How do you generate the opportunities? Honestly, there is no textbook method, but at least I can share with you the things that I did, and I'm not unhappy. I'm not making millions, but I'm comfortable in whatever little I'm doing. There are two things which I feel are so useful. Even today, it was useful to me earlier as well, is academics. You know, most people who come into practice, they feel that, oh, without going to the income tax office and doing something, without compromising or without doing something here and there, you won't be able to make money. Yes, there is merit in what they are saying, but that is very short-lived. One of the things that I found which was very useful was to try and excel in something or the other. Try to do something which is good, and this happens if you do a lot of research. And when you do research, you should try and get opportunities to write. When I say write, means to write articles, to write a book, or to author something. Now I know many of you may say it is not easy, we may not have such great writing skills or the flair for writing and all. It doesn't matter. Maybe, as he rightly said, network with people. There can be 5 co-authors in a book also, but if you write one good book, believe it or not, friends, the kind of value that it will have. Today if I say that, okay, Mr. X has written this book, you will definitely want to say that who, why, what is the reason why he has written the book, and where has he got all this material from. For me, I used to write for the Bombay Chartered Accountants Society. I have written once for the Institute. it took some time. They didn't recognize me immediately, but once I started doing that, business started coming on its own. Because then what they feel is, okay, this guy, if he's writing something like this, if he has such kind of an experience, people have that confidence to come and give you work. That kind of confidence is much better than going and making a presentation to a CFO's office and say, I can do this, I can do that, I can do that. There are people who do that, but that is short-lived. Your academic progress and your ability to write will make a big difference. The second thing, there are two things.
Please.
The second thing is speaking. Now, obviously, everybody will not get a chance to come and speak at this Golden Regional Conference. They may not even get chances in the smaller conference. But in our institute, there is this, I believe it's still there, study circle systems are there, right? In these study circles, start making a small effort to try and speak, try and address, try and deliver. You will get into this habit of speaking, and sooner or later, you will improve, you will go to graduate to higher levels. That's the way it happened to me. I used to be like the backbencher. You know, there was a time, there was a time where my friends used to drag me to a conference, say, Chetan, come here, it is worth going over there. And I would say, I will hide behind a tall person so that the speaker cannot see me. I used to be so scared.
Right.
Now, from there till the time where I have actually come here, it's just nothing but maybe a little effort which I made to speak at a study circle, to speak at a smaller conference, to speak at even small little social circles, then going on to maybe WIRC. I come from Western Region Council, and then going to other places. And friends, that kind of thing gives you business of the highest order. These two things at least make an effort, friends. And I can bet you that we people will have much better quality of work, much better confidence, and far more opportunities coming to
So
these people.
let me summarize this, sir, and then I'll get to the more straight questions to you. Is you're talking about knowledge, and you're talking about communication.
And research.
And research.
And research.
So these are three things which you think are very, very vital. I totally agree with you on this particular aspect. My question to you, sir, is, when you are an expert on forensic, even today, in spite of all the efforts taken by the institute, coming up with their own forensic standards, and seeing you, who had been a pioneer in forensic, what message do you want to convey to our members to say why this is such a big opportunity, one? Number two is that, what are those organizations, institutions, banks, who are actually looking forward for you, and how you should, place yourself in front of them?
Okay. Now, what makes forensics such a big opportunity? That is a big thing. Okay, till about 20 years ago, believe it or not, sir, most people hadn't even heard of the word forensic in accounting.
Exactly.
Okay, there was something forensic in science and all that, but not in accounting. It is a recent last 2-decade phenomenon. And even yesterday, when I was coming by flight, I was next to a person who was a pilot. When I told him what I'm doing, even today, he said, wow, I didn't know that such a service also existed. When he said that I look at financial crimes, that means the first important thing is that we as chartered accountants have not made ourselves visible very clearly. Now, forensic, the opportunities are there in a very, very huge way. They are required in small businesses, middle-level businesses, large corporates, government, anywhere. Even in international clients, this is the basic need of the day. I'm sure you heard of the whistleblower policy, which is more or less obligatory across the world, right? Now, in fact, in my firm, I get the maximum business by way of whistleblower complaints. Now, these are things which why as chartered accountants, we can't do it, we can. Actually, forensic audit is nothing but an advanced audit. Whatever I am doing in forensics, the genesis of that is from the audit work that I've done in the past. Just to give you one small example, just very recently, about a month or two ago, one of my team was doing an investigation, and this is a fact. I used to feel that now with RTGS, NEFT, E-net transfers and all that, really bank reconciliation has gone out of style, isn't it? We all feel, because earlier checks were there, checks presented, not issued, or checks returned and all that. There used to be a reconciliation system. Now with NEFT and RTGS, one would feel that there is no reconciliation. But believe me, friends, I was shocked to see entries like NEFT return, salary paid return, items appearing in the bank statement, not appearing in the ERP system. When you look at that, this is what an auditor is supposed to do. But the forensic touch, friends, here was something different. what I found was there was one part of the bank reconciliation. Actually, I wanted to show it on the screen, but today because of shortage of time, I cannot show it. We found that the receipts in the bank and the receipts in the bank book of the concerned entity, there were differences. That was the bank reconciliation. But if there are differences, one would feel that they could be both ways. Like there could be entries in the bank book, not in the bank, or there could be entries in the bank book, bank, not in the bank, right? All of you would agree with that. I found this very strange that there were only one-sided entries where entries were there in the bank, but not many entries were not there in the bank book. And you know, friends, what this is? This is what they, in the erstwhile days, they used to call it a secret reserve. The accountants had created some reserve in the bank by not showing them in the regular bank transactions, and at opportune moments they would embezzle this. Now this is the forensic touch that we are talking about, but it comes essentially from the chartered. The knowledge is already there inside you. You people are already inherent experts in forensics. The only thing is you have not used that capability into you. The third part of the question which you asked is, where do you get these opportunities? Which are the places, where do you search for? Okay, let me put it this way, that there are the big ones and the small ones. You have SEBI, you have SFIO and all that. But to be very honest, even I don't get an opportunity there because the rules over there are so strict that you require certain number of billings, certain resources, staff and all that. Many of us may not be able to have that. But there are a lot of opportunities in the slightly middle level. That is, if you take let's say the police, the EOW, the CBI, the Reserve Bank of India, income tax. There are many of these regulatory authorities who require this. And once you get empaneled there, there are two advantages to you, two types of opportunities. One is you get tenders from those particular organizations. Secondly, your credibility increases multifold. Today, if I come and tell you, sir, that I am empaneled with the state government of Maharashtra, you will feel that no, Mr. Dalal has that credibility that the Maharashtra government approaches him. So what you should do is, you can make a list if you want. Maybe you can coordinate through him and send me an email. I'll send you all those different agencies where they accept empanelments with reasonable credentials. And of course, our institute used to have a course. I don't know whether they still have it. They used to
Yes,
be a
we do have,
forensic
sir.
accounting course. So certification from there will significantly or exponentially increase the chances of you people getting empaneled in that. And that is one of the places where you can.
And that's great, sir. Before we move to the next question, we have with us Suvendu Chandar, who is the past chairman of EIRC. May I also request him
How are
to
you,
come?
Suvendu ji?
So he is also for Suvendu, sir, please come over here. So, sir, moving further on the questions, you mentioned a very important point called credibility. And what it is, which is so important and relevant, is building your own profile, your profiling of your firm, profiling of your... Suvendu sir, please be seated. So just to keep you updated, Suvendu sir is the past chairman of EIRC. And when we call about IT man, he was the first IT man of Eastern India. Big round of applause for him. So my job will be easier, sir, once you are there. But I'll just finish up this question to say, so what comes first again? I asked the same question to Aniket, sir. You said go back into the seminars, speak about yourself.
Not yourself, about the subject.
About the subject. That's what a forensic expert is all about, catching each and every word and interpreting it. So then, also communicating and doing what you have to do. But all of these, sir, doesn't give me experience. Now, if I don't get an experience, I will not get the work.
Correct.
If I get the work, I'll get the experience. But I'm not getting the experience, how will I get the work? Question to you, sir.
Yeah.
Sir,
There are two things which I would... Sorry, you would like Suvendra to answer? Are you answering this? Okay. There are two things that can be done in this. One is...
I'm trying to make everything more and more lively.
Of
So
course.
can I get a big round of applause for Chetan Dalal, sir, so that we see that
Thank
all
you.
are
Thank you so much. Thank you. So one is that you should be willing, at least in those days when you have not yet made the visibility that you are known or you are experienced in that, you should be prepared to offer even free service. You see, you will have one set of clients, or you will have people whom you can approach, and your basic credibility is already there with you as your chartered accountants, right? The fact that you are a chartered accountant gives you a certain minimum platform. Based on that, you can say that you are now specializing into this, and as a beginning, I would like to do this to run a risk assessment for you to find out whether there is any business leakage, to find out whether this is there, whether there is anything wrong. So once you do that first assignment, A, you get experience, B, you start getting goodwill. I'm presuming that people will do a good job. And whatever information you give to the client, it adds up to your reservoir. It also brings in a lot of goodwill from the client. I have done that for many agencies. In fact, NGOs are one place where they will welcome you. If you are a chartered accountant, and if you say your money is for projects, etc., which are coming to you, if you want, can we check that they are being utilized properly, whether there is any leakage, fraud. I'm just giving you a wild example like this. These are the things which will bring you to a platform where people will know that, yeah, Mr. Suvendar is a person who's doing this kind of work. He has done work for NGO, and he has done this. He may not have got a fee, but it gives that experience behind you. That was one of your questions. The second thing is, sometimes we have to eat humble pie, in the sense that you should be prepared to go to a larger firm than what you are, and tell them that, okay, for minimum remuneration or for minimum fees, I'll be happy to come and work with you with experience, if you can give me that experience. Now here there is one problem. There are good firms and there are not so good firms. The good firms are those who will welcome you with open arms, because they're always short of resources. All firms are short of resources. But good firms are those who will give you that opportunity. And there will be those who may not. Doesn't matter, but that's what life is. You will somewhere or the other meet some person, go there, get some experience with them, and when you have both these things, or when you have these two approaches, I'm guaranteeing you that something or the other will click something.
So the most important tricky question, sir, and please don't mind if I ask you this question, will Chetan Dalal and many other bigger firms who are into forensic open doors for these younger chartered accountants to say, I'm here to give you samples, I'm here to give you experience at a lesser remuneration, and you can go beyond that. Please, sir.
Yes, to the extent possible, we can.
Big round of applause for Chetan, sir.
And in fact, I will go a step further also. I will help them in two ways. In fact, you can make an open offer on this platform.
Yes, sir.
Those people are interested in writing articles. Let's say if they want to get recognition in the foreseeable future, please write some articles, send it to sir over here, and they can send it to me. We will refine that. Initially, for the first one or two articles, it will have to be a joint article with me, because a new organization may not immediately recognize that person. But once we have 2-3 articles where they have jointly written with me, then they also will become known.
Sir, I had 200% confidence in your answer, and that is what I was saying to all the young chartered accountants, that if you approach any senior, we have S.S. Gupta ji sitting over here, who is an income tax expert. You approach any expert across the country and say, sir, I want to work with you. I want to learn this. I want to get into this. I want to specialize in this. I want to really take my journey forward on this. I don't see, I have never in my 27 years of journey have seen a situation where that senior member is not going to say, yes, you can work under my guidance, under my mentorship. So the doors are open where you say, sir, knowledge to mil jayega, पढ़ तो लेंगे, सब कुछ है, experience कैसे मिलेगा? You have got 450,000 chartered accountants who are there for you. Sir, one concluding remarks. Okay, please.
So, just to add to what we were discussing, basically, I know him for a long time, and in fact, he is specializing in such area, which is a very niche area, which is into the financial frauds. In fact, I was handling one of the cyber crimes also, and I had contacted him in Bombay, and unfortunately he said, look Shuvendu, this is not the really my area of expertise, because I look into mostly the financial frauds. So there is so much of finer specialization that you can really choose your area where you want to work. It could be cyber crimes, you can be an expert in that, you can be involving yourself in accounting frauds, where you can have different, and I believe that in accounting kind of a fraud investigation or forensic audit, chartered accountants are always at an advantage because they have that financial expertise. And given to that, if you add a little bit of technology and you can use certain tools, then you can actually do a very, very good job in the forensic audit, especially in the financial area. So I would like to just give a few words. I was supposed to be with this session, but I think this session was got merged because of the paucity of time and because the inaugural session took so much of time. But just to give you some areas where I have been working, and I have been also regularly in touch with Chetan. He is based out of Bombay and I'm based out of Kolkata, but since we have been talking in this, or we have been doing work in forensic audit for a long period of time, I would be sharing with you some experience or exposures that I had got over the period. One is the kind of tools that I have been using that probably many of you will be interested to know that what kind of tools you are talking about. So I would be saying that there are lots and lots of tools which are available in the market which helps you in the forensic audit. But the one that we are using is called Diligent. Diligent is the company which is, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, folks, I have to rush because there is a paucity of time for me to go to the airport. But I'm going to request Suvendra ji to raffle this book. I was earlier going to use this as a quiz test, but if you can raffle the book, this is one book on forensics. To whomsoever it gets, my best wishes. Okay? So please do that.
Okay.
And once again, thank you.
A big round of applause for Chetan, sir. Thank you so much for being with us, sir, and we look forward to more interaction in future. Thank you, sir.
So thank you, not a problem.
Thank you, sir.
So just to continue with what I was saying, that in our office we are using a software tool which earlier you may have heard the name of ACL, which is the Audit Command Language. Now this was owned by a particular company, then it changed hands, and number of hands it changed, and then ultimately it was taken over by a company called Diligent. And Diligent is now having almost 70% world market in audit automation softwares, and it's one of the major global giants of audit automation. So we are using that particular software, but it is not software specific. You can use any type of software to do the forensic audit. Now, just to again share with you certain experiences that I had with forensic audit, I would like to continue. You want to continue the session, or you want to just okay. So just to wrap up in 5 minutes, basically some experiences that I had in forensic audit. I would like to refer to one of the examples where we were told to do the forensic audit of a particular hospital. Now, the top management of the hospital, they were thinking that there is something which is going wrong, something is hitting their bottom line, but they are not being able to find out what exactly is the thing which is going wrong. Is there something, they were trying to sense it, but they were not actually being able to do anything. So they asked us, they gave us an assignment where we were told to do a forensic audit and check the most part of their accounts, the finances, and see whether anything was particularly wrong. And I think this is a very, very common situation. You may be also facing such a situation. And then we took up this assignment, and then we started studying the various areas, the financial areas of their books. And we found that there were so many softwares that they were using. There were many softwares, very small software develops, one for stock, one for say purchase, one for creditors, one for data, etc. One was for accounting purposes. So we didn't realize why there's so many softwares. And once we started reconciling, there were a lot of differences between the various figures coming out from various softwares. There were differences in stock, there were differences in purchases, there were differences, the values of the purchases were inflated, etc. And then we started dwelling deep into the subject. And then gradually we started unearthing lots and lots of data which showed or which indicated that there was a financial fraud which was happening in the company. And we came out with a lot of findings, and we found that many of the middle management people, they had colluded, and they were trying to inflate the stock, they were trying to show higher purchases, and they were pilfering money from the company. So this was just one live example which I wanted. There were so many other forensic audits, and there has been large number of findings, but because of paucity of time, I would not be able to discuss all of them. But just to sum up, I would say that forensic audit is something where you are at an advantage already because you are the financial experts. What you need to add to your skill set is your technology expertise and the ability to analyze those data. Once you get hold of the data, you need to know how to join the dots. You must be able to conclude from the evidences that you pick up over the study that you do or the audit that you do. I think that is the three main important skill sets. One is your financial knowledge, two is your investigative skills, and the third is your analytical skills. I think these three are most important to do a successful forensic audit. Of course, as you heard in the first session, in the morning session, what the President was saying, that we were the first to come out with the forensic audit standards, and it has already been revised. Version 2 is also available now. So that has also given a lot of steps which you can follow in order to do a successful forensic audit. I think I have been able to sum up this.
Thank you so much, Suvendu Da. That was a very, very good summarization. In fact, he has shared all the practical experience which he had been for last 2 decades into forensic. And actually what is happening is, when we talk about forensic as something which is not our cup of tea, we own that skill. We know those skills. We just need to just do a little brushing on it and start taking the best use of it. So without taking any more time, I request Gautam ji to please take over the session and move it forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I request CA Sarabjit Singh Ohra, Vice Chairman, Siliguri Branch, to offer a formal vote of thanks to this session.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. What a wonderful session this was. I think we should have a huge round of applause for this exciting session. On one end, we were listening to global opportunities, and on the other end, one of the most contemporary topics of the CA profession, the most upcoming topics, the forensics. And it's a real privilege for me today to be proposing the vote of thanks for this insightful session. At the outset, I express my deep appreciation to CA Chetan Dalal sir for his incisive analysis, remarkable clarity, and the way he demystified the forensic world in front of us. I also extend my heartfelt thanks to CA Aniket Telati, past President Icai Eye, a visionary professional who showed us what exactly the global opportunities are in today's world and how we as professionals can move upon and can tap these opportunities. Sincere gratitude to the ever-smiling, the Central Council member, C.A. Sanjeev Sanghi, sir. Thank you, sir, for guiding this session and for making this session really exciting and so much the audience could also connect with the session. Thank you so much, sir. Also, C.A. Suvendu, sir, past chairman EIRC. Thank you so much, sir, for your insightful analysis on forensics. C.A. Gautam Lenka, sir, you're the Bhubaneswar chairman branch. Thank you so much for your presence. Last but not the least, thanks to all the participants, the members, ladies and gentlemen present here. Thank you for your patient hearing. Here's more and to continuing this wonderful 2-day conference. Thank you so much.
We have a very important ritual to happen. We need to, just honor Suvendu Chandar for his deliberation. So, Gautam, can we have the memento coming forward? Thank you.
We have ended this session. We'll immediately start with the next technical session. Thank you.